Devo took a detour all right, and we got lost all right, but not in the city.
We threw our energy domes in with Enigma.
Listen up, Spuds. Welcome to Devolutionary Times. Devolutionary Times. Devolutionary Times. Devolutionary Times.
De-evolution, self-execution, no solution. I'm a potato. I got eyes all around.
We need eyes all around as this world falls apart faster and faster. We have to see what's coming and going and what's sneaking up on us from behind. De-evolutionary Times. It's not too late to whip it good.
I like to shoot 'em all.
Greetings, Spuds. Jerry Casale here, Bob Mothersbaugh, Mark Mothersbaugh. And welcome to the Enigma years. And boy, were they. In 1988, we recorded a record, and we named it Total Devo. Yes, why was it the Enigma years? That's often asked. We ended up plunking our future fate into a record company that was less than functional. The CEO had gotten a cash infusion from, I think, Capitol Records. And he managed to disappear that sum really quickly, and it didn't really go to the artist.
We can pretty much verify it didn't go to us. At the time we heard about their cash infusion and they were rising up. They were being compared to another company that was doing really well that had just sprung up. And so we threw our energy domes in with Enigma.
It was a very low budget deal. Of course, we had absolute autonomy because, frankly, they didn't really care. It's like, okay, we'll give you enough rope to hang yourselves. And we basically made recordings in our home studio. Ivan Baker, known as Ivan in New York City, took an interest in the song Disco Dancer. We worked with him and shot a video to it where we shot it on Super 8 in New York at the World, huge dance club. And then here in LA at
the American Federation of Musicians.
Right.
It was inexpensive because we were all union members, so we got a good price on the room.
And it's mostly a performance video and shot on the streets of New York. And we create the illusion through editing that we marched with a disco ball from LA to New York City and brought the disco ball into the club, the World, and then the dancers and patrons there destroy it. Once again, because of the lack of power and support from Enigma, and because of MTV's evolving a reality, which was moving away from music videos, moving into reality TV programming. They decided that the only way they were going to program this video was to put it on a program called Smash or Trash, where people were invited to vote. Whatever Enigma did when they did the final transfer of the video to send to MTV, the studio they did it in put the audio out of phase. So they sent them stereo audio that was out of phase to MTV, and MTV didn't check it. They just put it on Smash or Trash in the afternoon. We were all told when it was going to premiere. I went home and tuned the TV on and proceeded to lose it.
Yeah, it was hideous.
It sounded horrible because half the frequencies were canceled out. It didn't sound like the song. It sounded terrible. So, of course, what happens? It gets trashed.
It was a Spinal Tap moment.
Yeah. And that was it. You didn't get a second chance. That was it, Devo. You're trashed. So we moved right on to album number 2 for Enigma, which was Smooth Noodle Maps. Let's see. We never made it back to Donut, and she's pissed. And Devo took a detour all right, and we got lost all right, but not in the city. And it was nice flat road from the desert all the way down back into LA in that horrible Lincoln Town Car. I mean, we chose all that stuff on purpose, of course. That's it. It was a kind of anti-video video. In other words, we were making a comment on lameness. I mean, ZZ Top would have had hot rods. Donut would have been super over the top. This is like, oh, Devo tries to leave the desert and come home to see Donut, and they get carjacked, period. That's all that happens. And we ended up doing 2 videos, one to the remix that we shot in Palm Springs in the desert, and one that Rocky Schenk, the director Rocky Schenk, did to the original track on the record that was slower and not remixed for any kind of danceability or anything, which was very funny because it was a throwback to kind of a Devo idea that we would have done had we done it.
Devo idea, yeah, that's for sure.
It was Home Shopping Network parody. Really funny, really great.
But everything for sale was Devo.
Yeah. Time for the questions. The first name, Paul, asked,
With Disco Dancer, despite having an extremely limited budget, why did you decide to go with a fairly mainstream, bland mix of concepts and footage compared to previous work? Oh, well, that's...
Well, I don't know. I guess it was bland, wasn't it? It wasn't a concept. It's like Devo marches from LA to New York with a disco ball, ends up at the World performing on stage, and the crowd smashes the ball to bits. They were a perfect New York crowd. They looked like leftovers from the area a club called Area a few years before.
We definitely wanted it not to look like what rock videos looked like at the time. So I think we accomplished that at least.
Okay, Bob. Again, single name. Jose says,
Jose asked, was the Disco Dancer video inspired by events and culture that you witnessed?
Yeah, I'd say the news.
yeah.
A lot of things inspired it. There were these videos that were being made in India that were inserted into movies, and India had done that for 50 years before. They would put a pop song in the middle of videos, and they'd have a couple of them in, and that kind of influenced some of the music in that song.
Right. And the lyrics were basically a Rip Van Winkle story. It's about a disco dancer that wakes up 20 years later. Now the world he sees is urban decay and, crazy club action, and he's bemoaning it. He's confused. It is a dystopian vision. We'll cop to that.
I think if we would have done our video the year before Saturday Night Fever, I think he would have carried a disco ball from the New York Public Library all the way over to the World Disco Club.
Yeah, this now we're moving on to Postmodern Man questions from a fan named Juno. Do you think that the second version of the Postmodern Man video was kind of a send-off to the band? Now, the second version being Rocky Schenk's? Or
the one that
yeah,
we didn't show here yet.
Right. Well, because we don't own it and we couldn't restore it. So that's why it isn't part of the Devolutionary Times restorations, because that's outside of our purview.
I could see how you could say that as a send-off, because the film did consist of them selling Devo articles, on screen. That was the whole video, was like
Home Shopping Network.
Home Shopping Network, and it was Home Shopping Devo.
And then I think, Bob, this one's from Alexandra H.
Yeah, she wants to know, is there any parallel behind the video of Postmodern Man and the character of Rod Reuter?
Well, yes, Donut is Rod Reuter's daughter.
Yeah, so
There you have it.
it's genetics.
It was an enigma, all right. They did name their company aptly, because they were definitely an enigma. And this guy, Bill Hine, I think what he did was buy a very expensive speedboat and a house, and then disappeared.
Yeah, I don't know about any of that, but I do know that I got a phone call after Enigma had closed down, and they had been so nice as to let us store some of our props and all of our tapes,
Stage
the ones
gear,
you see in the back here, in this location out in Mar Vista where they were located. And I got a call and said, "Get over here now." And I drove over there, and I had to protect all these tapes because they were letting people come in and just take things out. I watched the props from the show where we had the Greek Parthenon mixed
Yeah,
with
and the treadmills.
I watched people take the treadmills out and load them in their trucks and just drive away with them. And it was all sorts of bands. Their gear was going, their tapes, guitars,
Yeah.
any of the stuff that any of these other bands had left, there was all just and I just had to protect our tapes myself. I was the only one there that could do it. And so it was,
I think that supports
fitting ending. It was a fitting ending to,
Yep. It supports the general idea of the debacle of Enigma. And they disappeared, and Devo disappeared. And we didn't reappear until 2010 with the record Something for Everybody, which we'll talk about in episode 9.